Hey, Newman here, back with another video. We're going to be covering some r/weeabootales number 2. I'm glad you could join me. Nothing's new. We're just going to begin straight into this. The 3 Weeb men of the apocalypse. Introduction. I've been practicing judo for several years. It's an enjoyable, painful, rigorous sport that challenges me to be a better, fitter, more disciplined version of myself. That's good. I discovered it in university and still practice years later. Oh, that's nice. I just discovered MMA and boxing. I think I'm getting pretty good. It does teach you a little bit about discipline. Some respect, if you're at a dojo. As time has passed, I've had opportunities to volunteer for my judo club, usually 1 to 3 times per year as my work schedule permits. I recently volunteered at a community event to work at our club's table for the day. It was a simple job of setting up tables, laying out advertising signs and pamphlets, then sitting at the table for the day to tell passersby about judo, about the club, and promote the fact that we're registering new students for the fall semester. That's great. During the afternoon, some young members volunteered to demonstrate some basic hip and shoulder throws on a crash mat we brought to the event. Funny story, I did something very similar. I almost fucked up my knee because I threw somebody onto my own knee at a presentation event. But that's a story for another time, okay? That's funny. Prelude. Skip if you want to hear about Weebs without reading the pretext. Let's read it. On 3 occasions during which I've volunteered for this position, I've noticed that we always get a few archetypal people visiting the table. The Street Fighter always asks one of the following obnoxious scenario questions. How effective is judo in a real, see dive bar at closing time, fight? If you were in a back alley with a mugger, how would you defend yourself? Or my personal favorite, how effective is a judo fighter against a insert martial art fighter? Your typical street fighter is generally pretty fit, wearing a tight shirt, probably spent a year or so practicing at a boxing or MMA gym. Oh, you calling me out? And usually has an agenda to prove that any martial art he didn't personally practice is for wimps. Oh, that's fucked up. To most street fighters, I say that we don't learn how to fight muggers or rowdy bar patrons. You stay the fuck away from those events. That's what you do. We don't spend years practicing judo just to show drunk people how tough we are. That's good for you. Judo is a sport. We treat it as such. It's an art, honestly. We're heartily discouraged from using judo techniques in scenarios that can be de-escalated with words or diffused by any means other than violence. That's fair enough. I mean, unless you enjoy violence. Oh, that's fucked up. The Taekwondo don't. Disclaimer. I have nothing against Taekwondo as a martial art. There are unfortunately just 2 highly monetized Taekwondo McDojos within walking distance to the dojo I practice at. It's usually broke from paying shady local dojo instructors to promote their 10-year-old kids to 2nd degree black belt within 2 years of practicing. That's not even a lie. That's true. There are kids walking around with black belts that have that shit ripped off. These kids need to earn that shit. We don't give participation trophies to people anymore, okay? Fuck that. After spending thousands per year for their kids' breakneck rise through the ranks, the kids are bored and their parents are looking for something less expensive. Judo in this specific case is a fraction of the cost of Taekwondo, and we're conveniently close to 3 dojos, 2 of them being Taekwondo based. Our club has had dozens upon dozens of Taekwondo enroll themselves or their children over the years, and their eyes bulge a little when they find out that there's no pay for promotion scheme. Good for you, man. We need more of that. Earning a yellow belt takes most people a full year. Honestly, I'm only a blue belt. I've been doing this for a year. And very few more dedicated and active members can earn one in 6 months. After that, each belt rank can take 1 to 4 years to earn depending on the student's level of involvement and skill attainment. At community events, I compare notes on judo versus taekwondo with taekwondo. and usually end up recruiting a few who are tired of high-priced McDojos. Okay, fair enough. The undisciplinarian. This is a special sort of parent who has spent 4 to 10 years not setting boundaries with his or her children. The monkeys run the zoo. The inmates run the jail. You get the idea? Yeah, I do. Parents let their children do whatever the fuck they want, up to the point that the kids are half feral and creating escalating forms of trouble, which to the surprised exasperation of the parents. The undisciplinarian thinks that martial arts are substitute parental discipline and a quick fix for their child's increasingly poor behavior. In the mind of the undisciplinarian, a few months of judo will have free-spirited Thomothias behaving like a model child. Of course, this approach doesn't work at all. Judo will teach you to be disciplined, but you have to have a basic level of personal discipline and proper behavior on the mats to benefit from judo instruction. Judo senseis generally don't waste time disciplining kids. Perpetually disruptive, disrespectful, misbehaving little shits are kicked out of class on a regular basis. Ask not to come back so that the senseis can focus their attention on students who are well-behaved and ready to learn. Well, that ain't no shit. You better kick those little shits to the curb. And now I present to you the 3 Weebmen of the apocalypse. Alright, here's the main course of the story, baby. So while working at the event this year and expecting a few of 3 above archetypes to show up throughout the day, I was surprised to meet 3 Weebs. One bringing myrrh, one bringing gold, and one bringing... No, I'll stop. Not that I haven't previously met Weebs while doing judo. I've been called senpai or baka. The fuck is a baka? Seen Weebs sign up for judo and act more interested in discussing anime at length than they are in practicing. I've never met somebody who is disciplined enough to even go to a dojo to sign up. Well, I guess he's standing on a corner, so it's fair enough, but still, you're surprised they even walk over. Anyways, but Weebs are usually quite short-lived in judo. That's not surprising. They learn early that the reality of practicing judo is different from their weebish expectations. Very few athletes want to discuss anime at all. I don't, especially not when I'm working out. I've only seen 2 animes to completion. It was Psycho Pass and Death Note. Those are the only 2 I liked. And my brother introduced me to it, so yeah. Nobody fetishizes Japan or Japanese people, and the Japanese terms we use apply strictly to judo techniques and rules. Otherwise, most instruction is in English. Weebs usually wash out after a semester or less when they find out that what they're doing is a sport, not discussing waifus or training, and training to introduce a social structure based on samurai fantasies. Simply put, Weebs usually stay in their Dorito-dusted basements or show up directly at the dojo, rather than seeking out the judo club in public places at community events. Yeah, if you're involved in one of these martial arts groups, you need to be out there helping people, not, spreading respect and, that sort of thing, being kind to people, helping people. That's how you get people to join your cause. I'll call the first weeb of the day Kata Man. Kata Man came up to the table silently, prompting me to say hello. Rather than responding, he assumed a horribly executed kata position and started a stare down with me. That actually sounds pretty funny. I don't know what a kata position is, but the stare down sounds funny. I intend no disrespect to an athlete with whose page I've referenced. It's just that the second photo is a good example of how Kata Man was trying to pose while staring me down. Kata Man didn't look threatening. He looked about as balanced and as strong as a toddler whose sleep-deprived mother mistakenly filled the baby bottle with Jack Daniels instead of apple juice. What a good description. Kata Man just stood there, And when I didn't assume a mirrored position, he started giving me the mirror action with his fingers. One of my senseis, who popped in for a half hour to check on our club table at the event, was sitting next to me at the table. We exchanged slightly aghast glances and looked back at Kataman just as I was about to say, "Can I help you?" or "Would you like a pamphlet?" He slowly and methodically went back to a neutral stance, then sauntered off with a smug look on his face. "Well done, Kataman. You stared me down while looking as awkward as a baby giraffe. Mission accomplished?" The second weeb of the day was a bona fide fedora wearer whom I'll call Chunky Boy. Damn, it's fucked up. I'd guess him to be 260 pounds with a gut. During the live demonstrations from our younger members, he took the liberty of stopping to watch while badly mansplaining judo to the adult female he was with. Oh my god! Also, I don't know if when he says mansplaining he means like patronizing her, but that's funny. That's just so defining of a neckbeard. I love it. I'll hope you'll forgive me for not describing her in any way other than spending time with a weeb. She did nothing that merits mention in this tale. Chunky Boy's explanation was so generically basic it made me cringe. One male volunteer demonstrated soi nage by throwing a smaller female volunteer for the small crowd, and Chunky Boy chimed in, "See that? He used the weight of his opponent against her to throw her to the mat." The female volunteer got up and threw the male volunteer, to which Chunky Boy said, "She's smaller than him, but can still use his own weight against him." As you can tell, Chunky Boy knows a lot about judo. Cue the eye roll. Enough to educate his companion on it. I've seen parents explaining judo much the same way to children who are seeing it for the first time. But this was an adult male explaining judo to an adult female who's clearly able to understand what she sees. Yeah, that ain't no shit. Here's where it gets juicy. Chunky Boy, inspired by the athleticism of the athlete volunteers and eager to impress the public, badly replicates the moves of our volunteers on a ghost opponent. Oh my god, that's cringe. Then proceeded to ask me if he could throw me onto the mat. I obviously told him no and offered him a pamphlet. Yeah, if you want to fight, hey, come here. Make some money off of it, fuck it. But before I could finish telling him about registration, he asked me if I could throw him onto the mat. There's no way in hell I could have thrown or been thrown by Chunky Boy at the community event. I'm sure you wanted to kick his ass, that's what I bet. So many things could go wrong that I wouldn't even bother listing them all. Yeah, you could hurt him, he could fuck you up, you know, sue you, all that kind of stuff. You need to sign a non-disclosure agreement or something like that. I told Chunky Boy that he'd have to sign up with the judo club if he wanted to start learning throws. He just said he had to start learning throws. That's how fucked up his demonstration was. He huffed and he puffed, and he made his way to the nearest hamburger stand. Boy needed to regenerate. And now for the third and hopefully final weeb man of the apocalypse. I'll call him Boken the Badass. I noticed him walking directly to my table from 200 meters away. Damn. Two distinctly identifying factors set him apart from everyone and gained my attention. First, he was wearing black slacks, leather shoes, a white t-shirt, and a black short sleeve dress shirt with another silvery dress shirt tied around his waist. On his right side at waist level was a visible protrusion on which his right hand was resting. Second, he had the most puzzling gait. It was a strutting stride which caused his upper body to bob up and down comically. Just call him fat, dude. As I looked at him, I saw that the reason for his curious motion was that he was deliberately stepping toe to heel, not heel to toe. Oh, he's trying to sneak or something? Boy's got, he invested all his sneaking points. That's fucked up. Alright, try extending your step 6 inches past where you normally step. Touch the right big toe to the ground at the start of your step. Raise yourself up on the ball of your right foot as your left foot moves ahead for the next step. Then lower your right foot down so that your heel makes contact with the ground just before your left big toe touches for the next step. Now practice this complex, nonsensical motion for days and weeks, and hopefully you'll be able to walk like Boken Badass. Damn. Not gonna lie, I mean, that is, at least, I guess he's being unique in his own way. People probably look at him and think he's retarded though. I hoped he'd veer away from the table, but I knew he was heading directly for me. Target locked. He approached me, locked eyes with me, then simply said, "Tell me about judo, good sir." Damn, at least he's friendly. I guess I gave Boken Badass the basic rundown of registrations, fees, class schedule, and an abbreviated paragraph about judo and what's involved in regular practices, okay? However awkward he made me feel, I still had a job to do. Boken Badass pondered what I said for a moment, actually caressing his chin as if in deep thought. He confirmed the location of the judo club once more, then said boisterously, "This is extremely interesting. I will give careful consideration to joining your club. Good day." Before strutting off like an ostrich high on meth. For a moment, I had forgotten about the strange protrusion on Boken Badass's right side. As the astute among you have already guessed, it was the pommel of a small Boken sword, the blade of which was on full display behind Boken Badass as he walked from the table. Damn, pull that shit out like a ninja. Much to my disappointment, none of the senseis were around at that moment to see Boken Badass. I'd have loved to hear a sensei's impressions on such a spectacle. Yeah, just give them that description about an ostrich on meth. That'll give them a real visual in their minds. Friends, I have seen 3 Weebmen of the apocalypse, and now my life is in apprehension. Oh my god. I had hoped that they were resting in dormancy content to discuss all manners of weeb-related depravities in dark corners of the internet. The Weebmen of the apocalypse have crawled from their crags to interact with us in the human world. I know that if I see a fourth, that the apocalypse is well and truly upon us. I am afraid. You need to stay indoors. TLDR, I met several weebs at a community event while promoting a judo club in a volunteer capacity. Edit grammar. Yeah, same here, man. I gotta work on my pronunciation, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you think, and I'm gonna try and really work on how these videos are produced in the future. If you did like the video, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe. You know, it really helps me out. And if you're feeling so generous, go ahead and check out that Patreon, but you don't have to. I'm just content with making these videos for you guys. I just want you to get the most enjoyment out of it. I hope that you can maybe listen to these while you're driving, that sort of thing. That's the only thing I dislike about other channels is sometimes they have too many visuals that are on screen and they don't describe what's happening. And that's kind of what I want this channel to be more so, is kind of like a mix of a podcast and a video. Let me know what you think. You know, check it out, and I'll catch you guys later. Stay safe.